So this morning we're about to head off on our final camping trip for 2022, and then as well our very first full driving bucket list trip for me for 2023. We're actually headed to one of my favourite national parks, and then one I've been wanting to visit for a while, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that shortly.
Now, as you've heard me mention previously on my channel, my goal for this year is to make the absolute most of it and try to tick 52 things off my bucket list, with this of course being the first trip of the new year and bucket list week 1 of 52. The actual bucket list activity being, firstly, number 1, climb a mountain to watch the first sunrise of the new year, and number 2, while we're there, visit and explore Sundown National Park, purely because it's a 4-wheel drive park I've never been to, but have been wanting to tick off for a while. So let's see how we did, shall we? This trip, as well as being home over the new year, is a family one, and the park we're out exploring is Queensland's stunning Girraween National Park, located right alongside Sundown National Park in the Southern Downs Granite Belt region. I said that this place was one of my favourites, and it absolutely is, just because of all the walks, wildflowers, lookouts and wildlife that it has to offer. The campground being this time of year was unfortunately way busier than I would have liked, but that's okay because I want to jump straight in and show you the creek section of the park. This track follows the Bald Rock and Ramsey Creeks and is one of the best spots for an afternoon walk, a swim, to spot wildflowers, or even wildlife, except this little guy who didn't like us too much.
Absolutely stunning time of afternoon now here, so we are just about to head back and set up camp for the night. Alright, so this is the final campground setup. We've got Joe's bed almost made, Dad cooking dinner, kitchen table, Mum and Dad's tent. I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Very cozy. And my tent with a little bit of view for the castle, which we'll try and do tomorrow, just up there.
Just a beautiful end to 2022, and of course our own little alternative to having fireworks this year to bring in 2023. 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year! Day 2 is where the real adventure starts, because this here is our morning climb to watch the first sunrise of the year. And let me tell you, I had been wanting to do this for such a long time, so it was well worth getting up for, but I think we left around 3 a.m. and ended up scaling this huge granite monolith in the dark to get up there on time.
This piece just coming around here, it's only wide enough for about one man. The others are just over there, but I'm not sure if you can tell in the dark, she just drops straight off, but it's looking like we will have a beautiful sunrise. You made it to the top! Happy 2023, everybody! Oh, it should be a good one.
We ended up being so lucky with this. The weather was good, it didn't rain, and we were actually the only people up there, which was pretty cool to have it all to ourselves. You couldn't unfortunately make out the ball of the sun through the clouds, but this was the footage and the colours I ended up catching, which was pretty spectacular all the same. Quick breakfast on the top. And if you were curious to see, this is the climb on the way down, this time in daylight, making it a fair bit easier, but just beautiful to look over the rest of the park. Of course, there is so much more to see here. Once again, the wildlife, rock formations, caves, crevices and rock scrambles to explore if you're up for the challenge. Quick stop for lunch in the middle of the day, which is just way too hot to be hiking. And then back off for a second climb, this time on what is probably the park's most iconic and well-known peak, which is called the Pyramid. Similarly to this morning's climb, this granite giant can be fairly steep and slippery, but is incredible in its views if you can make it to the top. All right, you've made it to the top of Mountain 2 for the day. How's the view?
Yeah, from
Where are you from?
East
Timor?
Yes.
Yes.
One more night in camp. It did actually clear out a little, but still super busy to hang around the main campgrounds. Then finally off for day 3 out of Girraween and over to Sundown National Park. The parks themselves are probably only a half-hour drive apart, but change remarkably quickly in their landscapes, from giant smooth granite monoliths to open hills and sharp rocks and cliffs further into the park, like you can see here, overlooking this incredible Red Rock Gorge. The park is rated for 4-wheel drive access only, and in this case is probably very much a recommendation I would follow, purely because of how much of the park and its history is accessible with a more capable vehicle. Along with the limited access, if you're like me and tend to prefer a remote bush setup over a crowded campground, then Sundown I'm sure would be much more your style. This beautiful spot we found along the Severn River is the Burrows Waterhole camping area. And just like Girraween, absolutely full of wildlife and just a perfect spot to stop. From here, to really tick off that bucket list adventure, we did go further for a 4-wheel drive into the park, and I think it's here that you can really get a feel for what the landscape is like and how remote or inaccessible some of this country really could get. Sundown certainly, if you're interested in 4-wheel driving, is a spot worth exploring and adding to your list. And like Sunrise at Girraween, one that I'm thrilled to have ticked off mine. So with that said, I want to wish you a very happy new year and hope that you decide to join me again next week for Bucket List Adventure number 2.